Hey everyone, I'm Maximus from Sofa Gamers and welcome to IViews, a YouTube series where we interview gamers and YouTubers. Today is episode number 5 and our guest comes from Barcelona, Spain, although he is originally from New Zealand. Craig Petersen is a comic book artist, writer, illustrator, and you can discover his amazing work at mechazoic.com. He is currently working on a series called Echoes from the Drift, set in a post-apocalyptic era. In Ruins is the prequel of the series and it's available for free download on his website. Go take a look, you're gonna love it. To learn more about Craig's work and influences, as well as his video game experiences, please welcome Mr. Craig Petersen. When I checked your website, I mean, you already talked about this, but I wanted you to tell us a bit more, which is, when I checked your website and I went through all your amazing work, I can tell how video games influenced your professional journey, but I wanted you to tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, again, it was coming back to the early Final Fantasy games, I think. Seeing the cutscenes and playing those stories really fired up my imagination. And even back then, you know, back in the late 90s, it was like, oh man, can you imagine a game that was like all cutscene? like the quality was so good that, you know, and it's like now nearly every game is like that, right?
Yes,
and it's just an amazing time now for games. Like if you're just coming into video games now, you're just, you know, I can't imagine what it would be like. You just do you take it for granted? I don't know, but you know, when I think of the really early games that got me going,
yeah,
you know, it's like these cubes flying around. You're like, wow, amazing.
And sometimes you saw the trailers and you're like, wow, I wish one day video games were like this, and now they are.
Yeah, it's really cool. So, but back then, the you know, just seeing the cutscenes and seeing some really high quality art, like from Final Fantasy, for example, and you see these really cool 3D characters, you know, beautiful story and sound effects, and it was just always fired my imagination, and I was always like, wow, you know, can I do a story that's my own story, but as cool as that. You know, so, and then you know, and storytelling as well has changed a lot in video games.
Yes.
A lot better. There's some pretty amazing games out now. Like I was saying, the Uncharted series, right, and the blend of adventure and humor. You know, those games were just great. Were really cool. So those, all these kind of things, it's, you know, video games were just like another avenue for inspiration for me. So I had, you know, obviously had movies and TV. Mm-hmm. Had, you know, read books. I still like reading books because you have to use your imagination completely, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a muscle you need to, well, a muscle. You need to keep training and keep using, because I found that for a while there, when I wasn't reading books, I was just reading comics or playing games or watching movies. You know, when I try and think of let's think of something really cool to, you know, draw or a scene or whatever, and I'm like,
yeah,
no, come on,
it gets more flaccid.
Yeah, I shouldn't be this hard to come up with something interesting. If you're I don't know, if anybody's stuck and needs to get some inspiration, I'd recommend reading a book.
Great.
And get those processes working again, because you have to interpret the words and fire your imagination up for the whole world, what the characters look like, what's happening in the world. It's a pretty amazing thing.
Totally agree. Yeah.
And I kind of see as comics as a step between books and movies, and it's that kind of middle ground, because you still have to read, right? But you have much more visual information, but then you still have to use your imagination a little bit, because what happens from panel to panel, you know.
Yeah. I got myself sometimes reading a comic that I loved the story. I was really hooked by the story. And then I sometimes noticed I was not even paying attention to the art. Sometimes the art was not good enough.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, anyway, it was like okay-ish, you know?
Yeah,
But the story was phenomenal. So I just kept like going.
Yeah,
I also had a little bit the opposite, which is like phenomenal artwork. And then the story is like total
capturing.
pants. And then I'm like, no, I can more easily drop a comic that is phenomenal in terms of artworok, but it has like a bad story than the opposite. So I guess it's somehow, because I think it's somehow related to what you were saying.
Yeah, I think so.
Keeps you going and want more.
Yeah, and wanting more, exactly. I think I would be the same. I can be quite a lot more forgiving if a story captures me and there's something about it, and I'm like, wow, that was really good. I like that. I want to see what happens. Then, yeah, as you say, if there's some amazing art, you know, the anatomy is perfect, and there's so much incredible detail on it, and you know, but I'm like, this story is boring.
Yeah.
So, and I'm just, you know, I'm not enjoying it, so I'm not going to spend money, I'm afraid.
True. And grabbing in that artwork part, I wanted to ask you the next thing, which is when I saw your art, it was like there's a post-apocalyptic, like punk zombie-esque style in your work. It's like, and it's mixed with sci-fi and superheroes, and you told a bit of that already. What's the series you created that gave you more pleasure developing so far?
Okay, well, it's kind of the series I'm doing now, but which is called Echoes from the Drift. But the one that I had the most fun developing was a prequel to Echoes, which was called In Ruins, and it was more of a post-apocalypse story. The reason for it was that I was pitching portfolios to publishers a lot at that time, and I was trying to develop a style that I thought they would like, and getting more and more detailed, but enjoying doing the artwork less and less, because it wasn't me anymore. It was, you know, I kind of got into this weird headspace where I thought this is what the expectations are to try and get a job with a publisher, right? And I ended up kind of, you know, just I was submitting the work and getting rejections, and in the end, I wasn't enjoying what I was drawing anymore, and
it's like lost a bit of virtue because.
Yeah, it was a strange experience. It was, and so I ended up making In Ruins, and I went, you know what? Just forget what you're doing right now. Think of all the stuff that you really liked, all the comics that you really liked, the style, the way you want to do things, the subject matter you want to do, and just make it. And so I made In Ruins, which is this kind of really rough. Well, not really rough, but rough for me at the time. A much looser, rougher style. I wanted to keep the energy of my pencil work before, and try and really develop an inking style that I liked. So I did this dirty post-apocalypse story. I tried to have some make a buddy movie instead of having the lone warrior guy, the Mad Max kind of guy. I wanted to have these two main characters through it, and just have you can't really have a fun adventure in the post-apocalypse, but you know, as have some people trying to find their way, and crack some jokes, be sarcastic with each other. They're getting assaulted by bandits and cars and the big chase sequences, and they're getting killed, but they're having I don't really know,
fun somehow.
They're kind of having fun. It was more of that. It's more the readers having fun more than they are. They're going through this stuff. They're kind of sick of it, but it's all they've got. So I had a lot of fun developing this story and just really breaking away and getting my energy back into my art. And kept that style and into my Echoes comic now. Even that post-apocalypse world kind of comes into Echoes without saying too much.
Yeah. Don't reveal everything. You have to go to your website and check and buy. Yeah, exactly. Well, we talked a bit about it, but usually comic book artists focus on drawing, inking, coloring, or writing, and you seem to do everything, as you already said. But if you could pick just one, what would it be and why?
This was another tough question. At the moment, I would say penciling comics is probably where my strengths are. But then now that I've finally found this inking style that I like that too. But I don't know if I could successfully ink someone else's work. Because I do everything. The penciling flows into the inking, and I know what I've drawn, so I know how to interpret it. And I don't know, I'd be more worried that I would do my style of inking on somebody else's pencils, and they'd look at it and go, "What is that? What have you done? What have you done to my work?" But all the writing, I just really enjoy writing scripts as well for comics. It's very much like a movie script, and you can get a lot done. You can work out the structure of stories. You can have these cool little moments you can imagine in your head, and you're like, why don't we do that? That'd be cool. I'd love to see that drawn. And then it's like, and then I pass it to myself and go, okay, let's draw it. So I would say penciling, but out of the three, I couldn't really decide.
Yeah, it's tough. I know it's tough. It must be
tough. Yeah.
But if any publisher gave you the opportunity to work on a character or series, what would be the one you'd love to work on? That's again a little tricky as well. So let me think. I know you like a lot of stuff, and
it's yeah.
Just one, no.
just one is hard. Again, because I like.
Yeah, or some character that really was important in all your journey, something like that.
Yeah, because I like because I like the 80s stuff and telling new stories of those characters. Then something like, I imagine it's never going to happen, but if I could do like a Chris Stark comic or something like that, like I was mentioning, it pops up in Weird World, or geez, I don't know. There's Micronauts I used to love as a kid. They were little toys. They did a comic series. Marvel did a comic series of that, and I came up with really cool characters. And then the license for the toys got lost, and now it's been picked up by somebody else. And Marvel owns some characters, which can't be used in the Micronauts series anymore, and it's
a mess.
It's all kind of split up and become a mess. So there will never be these stories ever again. But yeah, Micronauts was cool. Something about it, the style of the toys, and they're telling new stories of it now, and that would be cool. I don't know if I could do like the Kingdom Hearts side stories of all the fantasy characters, I'd be completely down with that. There was one series that was in Japan that was a comic that became an anime, and I saw the anime when I was very young. It was playing because my dad's French, so he was when I was in New Caledonia, it's a Pacific island above New Zealand. They used to have this cartoon called Goldorak, which is in Japan it's called UFO Robo Grendizer. So it's basically a giant, what they called super robots. So it's a giant robot, but it's piloted, right? So it's not like a transformer. So they have pilots, and I don't know if you've heard of Mazinger Z or anything like that. But it's no okay.
But I
It's
mean, I know what you were talking about, the style
yeah,
and the
yeah.
kind
It's
of
Japanese
robots.
giant super robots. It was before the mecca of like Macross or Robotech, or so it was in the sort of late 70s, and it was about these usually some alien invasion, and the giant super robot must save the planet. And so if I, there's so the author was Go Nagai. He's done many spin-offs, and he's reinvented the story several times as well. Done kind of the reimaginings, as they're called now, and reinterpreted his story several times. So the Mazinger Z has become many different things, many different ways of telling. So you have the same characters, but like a different universe or whatever. It's a completely different story, and it's actually something that has influenced my comic Echoes as well, which gets into parallel dimensions and things as well. So, and then I think the other one would be maybe I don't think they're going to do any more comics of this. It's another one. See, it's a problem with liking some retro stuff, is that you're like, man, that was awesome, and it's like, will it ever come again? No, probably not. So that's why Echoes is of taking those genres and doing new stories with things. But then if Metal Gear Solid ever did some more comics, then that would be awesome. There was an awesome series by Ashley Wood, who did these
yes, they were fun. I love that one.
Painted.
So good. Yeah.
Cool. And I just found out recently that a British artist called Rufus Dayglow did the layouts. So he recently on Twitter he posted his layouts for because I assumed Ashley did everything, and then I saw
the art of that guy.
Yeah, so Rufus did all the layouts, and it was comparing his layouts to the finished paintings. I was like, wow, this is cool. So Ashley interpreted Rufus layouts, a little as well, but it's really cool. It's like I had no idea. Rufus is doing really well for himself now, doing Bad Company for 2018 and some Tank Girl stuff as well. So I had no idea that he'd done this, and it was years later I found out. I was like, it's crazy.
Awesome.
But yeah, it was beautifully painted series. They did the first game, Metal Gear Solid and Metal Gear Solid 2, and they did all these painted comics by Ashley Wood, who's an Australian guy. Yeah, love that series. It's really cool.
It's really good. Well, somehow this goes into it's already started to blend with the next question I was going to ask you, which what were your favorite comic book series of all time, and do you still dive on them for inspiration? And you've been just talking about a bunch of them.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely. I keep taking a look at, because Gonagai has done who did Grendizer. He also did Devilman and Mazinger Z, and he's had other artists do the drawings, and he's been involved with he hasn't necessarily written it, but he's been behind the scenes helping with the idea of the story, and so. Some of these artists are just incredible. There's a series called Shin Mazinger Zero, and it's based on the Mazinger Z, Mazinger Z, however you need to say it, a comic. But it's got top-notch art. There was an amazing Devilman comic called Amon, The Dark Side of Devilman. It was by Yu Kinutani, I think, and he did some really cool demonic designs of the classic Devilman character, and so yeah, definitely look at that stuff for inspiration. Like I said, Ashley Wood's Metal Gear Solid, love looking at the painting style of that, and there is a series called Blade of the Immortal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is a manga series. I've seen recently that it's on Netflix now as a movie, I think, a live action movie. So I'll have to check that out sometime. That series was definitely very influential on my artwork. So much energy in the line work, and it's kind of rough and sketchy and painty, and it's really really cool series. It was there's I don't want to spoil it for anybody. There was one book that kind of turned me off it, and I haven't gone back to the series after that. And it was just a situation that happened to one of the supporting characters, and it was a shame. I was just wondering, it was just, I still love the series. I still go back to the older books, and I don't know. I'm conflicted with that one because I love it. This one book was just
traumatized.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little.
It's okay. Yeah, but that's plenty of inspiration, and you mentioned so many good series for people to dive in and go take a look and read that.
Yeah.
I mean, awesome. And to wrap this up, I wanted to ask you, what tips would you give to those who wish to pursue a comic book artist life?
Yeah.
Because you have experience since a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I have indie experience. I haven't had anything published by the the big guys or anything. So, I would say just if you're an artist, just draw as much as you can. Try and definitely draw something every day if you can, because it's really easy to lose the little tips or the skills that you've been learning. And it doesn't take much for you to forget it, and then you have to relearn when you come back to drawing something again. So just, I just do like a little warm-up sketch. Doesn't have to be much, but just to keep that side of your brain kind of going. Definitely do life drawing. Go and draw models. I mean actual people. That do poses and things. That you can do classes like that, and that's just really good for anatomy, for thinking about a body. Even though it's a drawing, you've got to think of things in a 3D space. You've got to think of your panels like little windows that have depth. Otherwise everything's going to be really flat. Yeah, life drawing. You can learn perspective for all the buildings you'll have to draw in the background at some point. Otherwise, it's going to be very empty comic book with just all the things that you like to draw. But learn perspective. Just it's there's books for that. You can look at the internet is such a good resource for all this stuff now. They didn't have that. Had to go back to the library when I was a teenager, so now it's right at your fingertips. You've got artists doing tutorials on Tumblr and stuff, and you can just pick all this stuff up and go, show me how to, they can show you how to color something, they can show you how to work on your anatomy, and life drawing is really good for you to develop and work out how shadows fall on a body, and just to takes your artwork to another level. Like I mentioned before, read screenwriting books if you're a writer. Again, with writing, what I hear so much from Twitter or whatever, it's just people saying, write every day. And it's like drawing every day. It's a skill, and it's that you need to, keep practicing, and you only get better by doing it.
It's like you are fit doing it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like staying fit. The more you do, even if you are failing, you'll keep getting better. You will learn lessons. I'll come back, but you'll like. Oh, we can go to it now, okay? Another thing to do is go to conventions, like
yes.
Comic conventions, right? You get the chance to even if you go there as a fan. You get to meet comic professionals, right, or comic amateurs, and you can learn tips. Pretty much everybody I've talked to at conventions are completely happy to share their knowledge with you, which is amazing. I thought before I was going to conventions, I thought people would be like, I'm keeping all these secrets to myself. You figure out how to do it by yourself, But everybody's like, oh, no, man, you do it like this, and this is how I do it, and then you paint like. It's really cool, and it just takes everybody up to another, to the next level for them. It's really cool just to see people get fired up and go, and then it's like, go and make some comics, go and do it, and you know, it's nice when you see that little fire like behind their eyes. We just ignites, right? So yeah, people are really friendly usually. So definitely go to conventions, and if you're an artist or a writer, go and talk to the professionals. If you have questions, you know, go buy something of theirs, of course, and then ask them the question. You know, that's why they get something signed of your book, or you know, and buy something of theirs, and then go, okay, these are my questions. So you've got a bit of time. Most guys will be happy to talk to you, right? You know, it depends on how big. Yeah, it depends on how big it is. So keep your questions, you know, kind of specific, and not too many. But what else? It's like I said, but like I touched on before, finding your own style will make you happy. It seems like it's obvious, right? But for me, yeah, like I said, I heard from another professional guy on Twitter recently that he went through a similar experience, and he was trying to do styles that weren't his, and in the end, he just did his own style, and I've done a similar thing, and that's when you start having fun and being happy with your art, and I think you grow the most when you're in those periods, and then your art will advance a lot because you're happy with what you're doing, and it can take a long time to get to that point, and it's like finding your voice, right? You know, it'll take a long time, but when you start hitting it, you know, it accelerates from there. So you know, as a teenager, I started off copying other artists. So I had Glenn Fabry from Slain and Simon Bisley doing the ABC Warriors, and then, you know, I was trying to figure out everything, how to draw exactly like them, and you know, and now it's been really cool, like to get to a style that I'm really happy with that's not theirs. You know, they've got theirs, and now I'm finding mine, and it's a continually evolving process. You know, in general, from an indie perspective, it can be a tough career to make money from. So you've got to think of other things that you can do, like do commissions for people. You can create Kickstarters, which is what I've done to get my comic series going. You look at Patreon. You can make web comics and just get your work out there to an audience. You know, you can put little PayPal donation buttons on your webcomic, you know, and if people like it, they can just give you $1 or whatever. You know, there's a lot more ways now, I think more than ever before, to make your own comics. You don't have to just rely on getting signed by one of the big publishers. And in fact, I think they, you know, the bigger publishers are looking for people who've had experience anyway. Most, you know, I don't know, I don't know, to be honest, but that's the impression I get, that they like creators who've been around for a while, and they know that they've proven themselves that they can make comics, and they make good work. Just try everything, you know. Like I said, I was doing portfolios for publishers. You can take them to conventions. Sometimes they have people that will from publishers that will check your work and give you feedback. Enjoy feedback. Don't be offended by it. It would be a big thing. You need to learn from it. In the end, it's their opinion, but they've seen a lot of work. So try not to get defensive about it. I know artwork gets very personal, but you need to learn from a professional opinion, and in the end, it's just an opinion. You know, they may not be the best fit for you, but they will. Every bit of advice will keep making you get better. Keep learning. Keep learning everything.
Great. Those are great tips. Thank you so much, Craig.
Thank you.
Great tips to finish the interview. I hope people watching can go check your work. We will share on the comments of the video the links and everything, so people can go check that out and support you as well. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, thanks. Like I said, I'm very honored to be part of the series, of your series. So
thank you very much for the interview. It's been awesome to chat about two of my favorite things. So, you know, comics and video games. It's like I say, they both work off each other. So for me, so yeah, thanks.
Okay, great. Good luck for all the work you're doing, and that you can achieve everything that you want.
Sure.
Yeah, man. Okay, thank you so much. Speak soon.
Right.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. And that's a wrap, guys. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. To connect with Craig on social media, check his Twitter account, pass by his website mechazoic.com to see his phenomenal artwork, all the series he's working on and worked on previously. You'll find plenty of video games influences there. All the links are in the description of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching Craig's interview. If so, throw us a thumbs up, leave a comment, and let us know how much video games influenced your journey too. To see previous episodes of IViews, subscribe to our channel, smash that bell button so you can get notified whenever we upload new content, whether it's a live stream, an unboxing video of our Unboxables series, or a new episode of IViews. Again, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you guys around soon, really soon, for another episode of IViews. Until then, take care, have a great day.